Hey guys, Coach K here. Today we're going to talk about what's going on in the world's markets and what I think is happening and basically where the markets are going to go on the short term and long term. So back in August, I said that, I thought that the markets were very euphoric in the stock, in the bond, housing, etc. And I'm going to show you how that's performed as well as what I think is going to continue to happen. So as we see here, this is Dow Jones here, and as you can see, it's been obviously on a decline. And what you can see actually at the end of this chart is a head and shoulders pattern. And that means generally that we're going to move down. So, the prediction that the stock market was euphoric, I think is correct. And I think we're going to see more of a push down for a longer time because it's been a bull market for the longest time ever. And it's time for it to have a bear market. We have the NASDAQ composite, similar thing, very similar looking head and shoulders at the end of the chart there. So it's also in decline. We also have the Russell index. It's also in decline. The Chicago options, very much in decline. And we have the S&P 500. Again, look at that head and shoulders at the end there. You can see that a lot of these are going to be, negatively affected in the short term. And basically, what that means is we're going to see more of that. Now, let's look at the tech stocks, okay? So if we look at the tech stocks, from their 52-week highs, they hit a $1.02 trillion low. So they've lost more money than the whole crypto market had at its top. That's a lot. So these are stocks like Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, and Alphabet. They've all been extremely hit hard by the markets turning, and basically I'm going to talk more about why that's actually happening. But basically, as we saw with crypto last year, the markets get euphoric, right? And the market was at its all-time high, the Dow Jones, and I said to many people it's going to come down after that because it can't stay that high. It's been, it's running up and up and up, longest in history, and it's never been a bear market in over 10 years. And now we're probably going to have a bear market for a couple of years. So it's something that people have to get ready for. And you can see this again in the bond market. No head and shoulders pattern here, but obviously it's been on a decline, on obviously what they would call a downtrend in TA, obviously. But I like to keep it very simple for everyone. So what do people do when all the markets start to drop? They hedge. So for the last 3 months, people have been hedging, as we can see, into metals. So precious metals, generally that's what people hedge into: fiat and gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. As we see, palladium is the leader, followed by platinum, and then followed by gold, with silver kind of just chilling. So we also have Brexit coming up with all the different things. There's some positive news, there's some maybe news, no one knows. But obviously, if Brexit happens, the Great British Pound should have a positive impact, as well as the US dollar recently in Forex has had a very positive little run. And it could be the reason why other people aren't investing in US stocks as much right now, and potentially is also causing the decline in the market. But we can see that in speculation coming up to it in the Forex markets, you see that the pound is actually doing well. And obviously, if this Brexit happens, and it's clean, I could still see the euro being affected as well negatively, and people trading against it. So we have the Bitcoin ABC hard fork. We have two people basically duking it out like little children. I'm going to show you guys a video right now. So just have a watch and see what that actually looks like. So just take a look.
I mean, I really don't care, to be honest with you, at this point. I mean, we're talking about SV versus ABC, but I mean, this is about the hash war, not really about my preference. So, this is Hash War Live. So I want to know about the hash war, not on, my or your preference. What is going to happen? This state
what is going to happen is we're going to dog their tails until they run out of money. And then they're going to start selling, and we're going to dog them longer, and they're going to sell and sell and sell. And eventually they'll run out of money, and then we do something.
But the ABC side actually has activity. So, I mean, are you going to mine SV at a total loss until those coins are actually valuable?
You think this is a lot of money?
I mean, do you think it's a lot of money to Roger and Jihan?
Yes.
Well, it's a lot of money to everyone then.
No. They're two different questions.
How so?
A lot of money to one person isn't a lot of money to another.
Well, okay. I mean, can you give us some rough numbers? Like how much more money would you say that y'all have on that side? All right, go for it.
So that's a Hublot Big Bang. That's about a day. That's a 42 Patek. That's 2 weeks. And that's a gold Rolex. That's another day.
Those are some nice toys, Craig.
Yep.
So, I mean, in the context of what we're talking about, I would say that's pissant money as well. So I'm talking large numbers here. How much more money are y'all willing to spend than Jihan and Craig? Because, I mean, a Rolex, I mean, those are toys. Well, I mean, why don't you care, though? You just said that you were going to dog them, so how exactly are you going to dog them?
You don't seem to understand. We aren't selling Bitcoin. We're selling Core.
You're selling Core.
BTC.
You're selling BTC. Oh, all right.
Not Bitcoin, we're selling Core.
I'm sure Jihan and Roger are as well.
No, actually, they don't have much. They have a lot of BCH.
Why do you say that?
Because I know the figures.
Can you show me the figures, or you know, kind of like roughly? I mean, we can go all day about, you know, like rough this and this guy has a lot more, but I mean numbers that, you know, are at least like computable in the moment. I mean, rough figures. I mean, you seem to make a lot of claims about what one person can do and what one person can't.
1.5 million BCH.
1.5 million BCH.
And if they sell it and they try and dump it all too quickly, it will be about $10.
But how do you know they don't have Bitcoin, BTC?
Because someone wants to go and list on a exchange, and there are companies, and you have to report things, and it's not as... Bitcoin's not anonymous, you know that.
Well, I mean, you could say the same thing about y'all's. I mean, it's not incredibly public as well. So, I mean, you could say, I would argue that they would probably have more money.
You could argue that all you want.
Well, I am.
Well, that's a stupid argument, isn't it?
Why is it a stupid argument? You can't give me any figures.
That is a really stupid argument.
Why is it a stupid
argument? I'm sorry.
Now that you guys saw that, you can see how childish it is, how Craig Wright basically doesn't really care about crypto that much because he's happier to kill off Bitcoin, but he calls it Bitcoin, but that's what he's calling his Bitcoin. He calls it Bitcoin Core. So he's trying to kill that off by selling it and saying they will sell their Bitcoin Cash, and it's just so silly. Why waste all this money? I don't understand it. Neither does Don Wonton. We're both sitting there going like, what's going on, dude? So it's really interesting, and it's causing a lot of the effects of the market. We also see crypto regulations are coming in, and because crypto regulations are coming in, it could be a reason why people are selling out, because they don't know if their projects are going to be, you know, slapped on the wrist with the SEC or be shut down by the SEC, depending on if they actually did sell an ICO or if they're really selling a security. And what you're going to find out is actually most of the ICOs are really securities. So what lawyers in the industry are actually saying they're going to do is very likely give them this slap on the wrist with a penalty and fine, and basically tell them to change to a security or basically do some course of action that they have to follow. So that's coming. I don't think they're going to shut down projects that are actually legitimate, but I think the ones that are kind of on the fence are in trouble potentially because they probably won't have the money to pay for the fine, and it will pretty much kill off some of the bad projects, which I don't think anyone really cares about. We have ETH. So ETH is kind of interesting right now. I'm going to make another video on it, but we have futures coming up in January. This should be a good thing for ETH. This is a really interesting one. We have the Bitcoin rigging criminal probe. Basically, the DOJ in the United States, Department of Justice, have launched an investigation into Bitfinex and Tether, basically thinking that they have had the main, or were the main cause of the Bitcoin manipulation of last year with the whole pump up to 20K so fast. So because of that, they're launching an investigation to find out, is this actually true? Because obviously if it is, this is really bad for Tether and it's really bad for Bitfinex. So if you're smart and you use common sense, I can't really tell you what to do with your coins in Tether or Bitfinex, but it's pretty much a guarantee you should figure that out now with all this bad news going on. Better safe than sorry. Okay, we also have the investigation into the Clinton Foundation, which is really interesting, which is probably also causing markets to stir because there's a lot of a political unrest in the United States. And then we have this, which is a really interesting piece of information and something that also kind of explains a lot going on in the United States. There's $1.6 trillion of student debt. Basically, students are drowning in debt and they can't afford anything. I can relate. That's basically why I moved to Asia, because it's affordable to live here and you can pay off your debt. So $1 trillion during the bad mortgage, the junk mortgage crisis that was happening before we had our last huge bear market, in stocks at least, and pretty much the world actually, those were defaulted on. So actually right now, there are more defaults on student loans than there are or were on mortgages back then. And if you think about that, you can understand the strain that will have on a government who loans students a lot of money for really overpriced education, in my opinion, because the United States charges an arm and a leg to go to school. And so this could hurt the governments and cause them some strain, and also cause the financial markets some strain as well. So on the good note, we also have BACT coming next year, as well as the Eris eventually will come out next year, which will compete against each other and should bring more traders, obviously, to cryptocurrency, as well as, you know, probably some life to the industry, which has had, you know, a lot of it sucked out of it as the blood has spilled, so to say. And one of the other reasons why the markets are going to stay in decline very likely is because people and traders are going on vacation. It's that time of year, it's Christmas time as well, so we also have presents. So people get their presents and they need to get these things and they pull money out of markets. So naturally, every single year you can go back during this time till the end of the year, till like pretty much mid-January, February, we have, you know, not a very active market. So keep that in mind as well, that people are going to pull out and just enjoy their vacation time. And so it's going to be a little bit slower in all the markets during this time. And then after this, when we have January ETH futures come out, we have the BACT, you know, come out. We have potentially, which I really believe, we're going to have our ETF approved in February of 2019, and then we're really going to get to the bottom of everything. And I think that DOJ investigation into Bitfinex would solve a lot of the problems with the ETF not being approved, because this is where the main problem was, I believe. So we'll see. Anyways, that's it for today. Coach K signing out. Take it easy, everyone.